Hi, I'm Kate Hanson, an artist working in Boxford, Massachusetts. And here's my studio. Why don't you come on in and take a look? So I'm primarily a printmaker, but I also paint. I grew up in Cohasset, Massachusetts on the south shore of Boston and attended the high school there where we had a really good art teacher. I always knew I was going to be an artist from the time I was a little kid. I was drawing recognizable horses before I could write my name, I'm sure, and so on. I was the kid that was always drawing horses, mostly on the, on the covers of my books and things like that, and filling up sketchbooks a lot. I did a lot of drawing. I had a difficult childhood, and it was a really nice escape to just go in and draw and draw. I spent hours every day just with a pencil and a sketchbook. So after high school, I worked for a family in Cohasset, and it happened that the husband owned and ran this Impressions workshop in Boston, which was a gallery with a workshop attached where they made prints. So that was really my first exposure to professional printmaking, and I was working with horses that the family owned, but it was really educational and interesting to have that experience. So I wound up going to school for printmaking. I went to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where they had a wonderful printmaking department. Studied with Fred Becker and Roseanne Retz, Jack Coughlin, and then worked for about, right after I got out of school, I worked for over 25 years as a professional printer for other artists who made prints. Some big names like Jim Dine and Robert Motherwell, people like that. Richard Diebenkorn, and that was also educational. It's very interesting always to see how other artists approach a method of working. Everybody's so different. Everyone struggles in the beginning and until they work out their ideas, and it's fascinating to be a part of that process. So I've narrowed my own focus down to working with woodcuts primarily, just because I love working with wood. It's soft, it's warm to the touch. Very low tech. I don't even need a press to print the work that I do. This is a white line wood block, which I've printed several times before, and I can show you a little bit about that technique, but basically you attach a piece of paper, and so that stays in register, and then you ink up one little section at a time. This block I made a line drawing on, cut out only the line drawing, and so you get all these little flat shapes, which are fun to just paint in lots of colors with inks. Then you fold the paper back down, rub the back of it, and you transfer the ink. And you keep on going one at a time until you build the whole thing up. I layer it several times, each shape, so that it builds up to the density and the color that I like. So this is a scene of Marblehead that I created. This is one's about 10 years old, I think. I went down there for a wet paint event. I think it was my first one ever. And I stood at Crocker Park, which overlooks the ocean, but if you turn the other way and look back towards the town, you see all the little tumbling houses that go down. It's hilly there, so this was exhibited in that show, and it actually won the first prize. They had a little a juried event. So that's Marblehead. I really focus primarily on white line woodcut technique. It's a technique that was invented in Provincetown in the early 1900s. And this is one of my prints. I play fiddle and banjo myself, and I go to the Lowell Banjo and Fiddle Contest every fall. Sometimes I perform and sometimes I just go to watch, but this was a group of people having a workshop before the event, and I sat there and sketched them, and then I came home and made this into this print. So I wanted to show you this one because it's probably my most ambitious print to date. It's the biggest one, and all the multitude of little shapes that I have to paint and then print and then layer again and again. So this print literally takes me almost a week of printing to get it to the way that I want it to be. It's called Object of Desire, and it's a Turkish bowl that I had bought at one point. I don't have the bowl anymore because it was low fire and it slipped and fell, but I'll always have the print. Every time I print one of my wood blocks, I have the opportunity to change the colors if I want to. I could make the background black or red or whatever I want to do. I could make the bowl a different color. So every time is different. They're like monoprints, really. They're a one of a kind, really. It's not an edition print per se, like a lot of other types of prints are. So they're really unique and very labor intensive. This is an etching print that I've made from a copper plate that I start with a photograph that I've taken, and I went into Boston, took a scene of the public gardens in the swan boats that were there in the spring, very pretty, very iconographic image. And I make a drawing on a copper plate and etch it with acid, and then I add an aqua tint, which is a tonal, variations tonally on top of that. And then after I print it in black ink, I then hand color it with watercolor. I just paint right on the print that I've made, and I get all the beautiful variations of color. So this is a hand-colored etching plate. And I can show you the copper plate. It's big and heavy. It's been covered with the acid-resistant ground just so that to protect the plate during storage. I don't know if you can see that, but the swan boats are on there. This is the plate. It's copper. It's been steel-faced. You know, we put a little steel on the surface of it just to protect it during printing from breaking down, because copper is such a soft metal. It will break down under the pressure of the press and the abrasion from the hand of the printer as she's printing it. Recently, I've been going out doing work in the landscape and plein air. And this is a scene from Newburyport, which is about 20 minutes north of me here in Boxford. And I was out with a couple of other painters that day looking at the boardwalk and the boats in the harbor and in the river. So I created this scene. I wanted to paint. I always like to bring something narrative, I think, into a lot of my work. So there's a woman painting here and her little dog she had tied up to the bottom of her painting easel. And I just found that scene really charming, so I painted this. I'm also a lifelong horse lover, and so horses are a natural theme for me. This is a painting I made several years ago of a horse named Picasso because of his very graphic coloring. And he was standing in a field at a barn where I was working at the time, and it was the fall, and just the beautiful colors and textures of the field and the horse. I just wanted to capture that. I like to work with the paint kind of thick. I like to kind of push it around with a knife, almost like frosting on a cake, and really just find the image in there. And I think it helps him feel like he's a part of his environment. And this is a scene from Witch Hollow Farm, which is a farm where I caretake and I walk their dogs on a daily basis. It's a beautiful piece of landscape up there, and it abuts some conservation land, gorgeous landscapes all around. And this is a scene of a field there, and it was July, and the heat was so strong that you could really feel it pulsating off the earth. So I call this one July Heat. I hope I captured that feeling. I also paint with oil paint. I have more training in printmaking than painting, so I really feel like I'm still finding my way. I'm influenced by many different styles, but that's okay. You know, I just do them all. I have several themes that seem to be pretty consistent over the many years that I've been working. One of them is bathers. I grew up in Cohasset where there's a beach, and my mom used to just drop us off in the morning and pick us up at night. So I spent a lot of time on the beach, and I love just observing figures at leisure. For me, I think water is a metaphor for emotion, human emotion, and so there are other layers to it other than just the people in the water. So this is one that I did maybe a few years ago. There's another bather sitting on the rock, looking very contemplative. This one of a mom and her son I call Watchful, as water has danger involved with it also, especially for little kids at the beach. And a male figure of a bather also. I don't like to be exclusive. And there we go. It's a few of the many ones that I've done. I have prints of bathers also. But bathers are very much a part of my theme. This is a woodcut print that I did in response to a small engraving that was in the collection of the Art Complex Museum in Duxbury, Massachusetts on the South Shore. The print that I was looking at was some little sheep in a field, and it was called The Sheep of His Pasture, and his was capitalized, so that I knew it had religious overtones. And in response, I wanted to incorporate something kind of spiritual, religious. So what I did was I found a poem that was William Blake's Songs of Innocence, The Lamb, and I incorporated the poem by carving the text of the poem right into this fleece of this lamb. So it was a lot of fun to make this print. Well, I wanted to show you that I do a little bit of sculpting also. Not a lot, but I really do love working with wood in a lot of different ways. When my son was little, I made this rocking horse for him. I carved it out of wood and you know, assembled it and painted it, and it actually works. It's he's a little too big to ride on it right now, but it has a removable bridle, and painted it right up. I just got a book from England where rocking horses are more popular, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and it'll be an heirloom for him someday. I don't know, you know, it'd be fun to make some more of them, yeah, if I had the time and the space to do it. It's a blast.